if you have taking a bigger picture, you will see when the temperature rises over 2 degrees, you're seeing falling drops in many areas. There's not much farming activity in Hong Kong, so we don't see that impact. But in China, you can see last year there was some heat waves and some water drought problem happening, and that's affect a lot of the crop yield and the harvest. So in Hong Kong, in terms of looking for a perspective, most of our food, 90%, is imported overseas from China. Okay, if climate change does cause more of these extreme weather events to be more frequent and more intense, okay, that would pose some really great threat to our food security problem. And of course, water. A lot of glaciers are melting. Some parts of the world are relying on these melting glaciers to actually satisfy their water consumption. Some like smaller villages and towns, along the Himalayas region. Okay, if climate change is happening, that means the water will be gone. Okay, that could totally affect the water security issues. And ecosystem. Okay, some statistics saying that if there's 2 degrees rise, 1/3 of the species will go extinct. So that's could be a very great environmental problem for human beings. In extreme weathers, and also a lot of these irreversible changes will happen when there is 2 degrees. So I would say it's not only a social problem; it's also a survival problem that every human being have to face. Just take a snapshot. I'm sure you have read a lot of from every day's newspaper. There are some weather events, but just taking a snapshot of 2010, I think some very sad stories happening all over the world. This is flooding, the great flooding in Pakistan last year, and during the early year. Okay.
Sorry, is that the season for like heavy rains, or is it something like going really quite opposite?
That flooding was actually in a meteorological term. There's a westward shift of the normal torrential rain. There's a normal raining seasons, but there's a shifting of the overall patterns that they are more concentrated in certain part of the country. So, there's a lot of there's a lot of complicated factors to actually work with climate change in determining how the impact will be. So it's difficult for me to actually I would say every individual event is caused by climate change. But it follows the projection of climate change that more extreme events will be happening. If there's rain, there is more heavy rain. If there is a severe rainfall that only happens once in 20 years, now it will happen once in 8 years. There are a lot of these sort of we'll call it extreme climatic events that will happen. And this is water, too much water, and just across the border, there's China, Yunnan. Last year there was a severe drought. And causes a lot of crop loss and human survival. And it's Moscow. And last year, I will remember there was a lot of wildfires in forest, burning a lot of dead people. The air problem has been becoming very critical at the capital. And this is also because of some heat waves that don't normally happen in Russia. But the heat wave spanning across Russia and Europe and part of Asia that actually create a lot of problem. And also last year it was one of the hottest year on record, and basically the last decade was already the hottest decade. So you will see there is exponential so you will see some sort of exponential increase of temperatures. So if you look at the Arctic sea cover, you will see that's melting very fast. So in Hong Kong, of course, we don't have that level of problems, but we do have some, like in some low-lying places, low-lying regions, like this is Dao, okay? If there's typhoon, okay, if climate change brings about sea level rise in some certain, weather condition, this is not Thailand, not Bangkok, but, in Hong Kong it can happen. So, what should us as an individual actually try to do to tackle the problem is that I think a very good concept is to try to manage our carbon emissions. So, well, we can't manage anything unless we can measure it. So this is the concept that actually generated this carbon footprint. So how much carbon emissions do we emit as a person from our living, from our eating, from our clothing, from our consumptions? So there are three major sources in Hong Kong. Around 2/3 of our major emissions are actually coming from the energy generation, burning of coal, burning of natural gas. Okay. And then 10% come from our transportation, okay, driving our cars, public transportation, and 5% come from our waste, the methane mainly from the landfills. So, well, if you have time tonight, I will recommend you to go to the site climateutilities.org to actually use this calculator. Okay, it just costs you 3 minutes, but you can get a clear picture and profile of your own lifestyle. Okay, how much emissions will it cost, and it differs vary from person to person. Okay, some person fly more, some person create more waste. Okay, and that's very personal. If you have time, you can. If you don't have the time to spend on computers, you can use your iPhone or any Android phone can answer work. You can search for the apps, carbon calculator or 攤足人計算器. Okay, and then you just download it, right? And then you can do the measurement, right, and export. So this is some carbon footprint data that I would like to share with you among different countries. There are some little carbon footprints from Bangladesh, India, Egypt. They are below to suffer. You see they were threatened by sea level rise and crop loss. Okay. What about these bigger footprints? If you make a guess, who is 9.8 tons? Which country is it? Not Hong Kong.
United States?
United States. United States is 26. Who is that? China. No, not yet. Some major cities approaching that, but not that average. UK, yeah. Guess is smart. UK 9.8. US 6. Right. China is 58. That's back to 2006. Now it's almost near Hong Kong. It's catching up really quick. And this is 2006 data. Hong Kong is about 6 times. So this is government data. That's the Environmental Protection Department data. So you will see a lot of, actually, these are the more developed, more modernized countries, cities that create most carbon emissions. But whereas a lot of problems actually suffered by a lot of these developing countries. So,
Patrick,
reasons.
is that like per person or how do you calculate? Like 6 tons, like per person we emit like 6 tons. Or
yes, this is per capita. That's per person. So China is per person. So a lot of the West are blaming China to be the culprit of the problem because they have the largest carbon emissions over the world. But if you think deeper, that's because they have a lot of people. Yeah, essentially 4.8 tons. So there is a lot of I would say political arguments around that. But you will see there's some problem of social justice. I would say here in terms of arguing who should take the responsibility to actually tackle the problem. Should it be the West who actually contribute to the problem since industrialization age up to now, or it should be the more developing countries that they have a much growing fast economy that they should do something. So this is up to you to have a think about it and decide. So 6 tons, what does that mean, 6 tons? So it takes around 43 trees, mature trees, 1 whole year to absorb that net. And in terms of weight, it's around 3.333 cans of cannibal soup weight of that. Well, 1 ton is actually not a lot in terms of if you fly a lot. Okay, so one return flight from Hong Kong to Thailand is already 1 ton. So if you think there's a lot of long haul flights that you travel each year, you need a lot of trees to actually absorb that.
There are a lot here.
No offense. I'll come to that, flying bit later in my presentation. And it's just for interest. It's around 155 Jolene. It's very light, and then around that 6.6 tons. So, so we're telling people, okay, well, we have to do something, and why not we start with living? I mean, so there's the term low carbon living. 低碳生活 is a very well familiar term that you have heard all over the societies. And well, we actually started off this movement back in 2007, where we first recommended group actually introduced the concept of carbon footprint and low carbon living. And we tried to frame the discussion around these different aspects. I don't have time to go into details of each aspect. I can spend five hours on doing that on workshop basis, that kind of stuff. But just want to highlight 1 or 2 tools that you can get it to use to help you living a low carbon life. So around living, so if we try to think about our office or our home settings, which kind of appliances that we use that uses the most of our energy. This is the top four kind of stuff. I'm not sure whether you buy a new appliance, you consider to look at the energy label. There's some energy label. Now, to EMSD, the government actually legislate to have such labeling to inform consumers about the energy consumption. So, however, the labeling scheme actually now just cover 4 appliances and 2 more 6 appliance type of appliances now in the market. So we have a tool developed called Low Carbon Living Appliances Guide, 低碳電器選購指南, and we cover a much wider range of products available in the market, including all these, some are like multifunctional devices are like office appliances and a lot of stuff like the set-top box, the washing machine, the rice cooker, even like a Wii or PS3. Okay, this stuff are actually covered by the guide, and we have done some market analysis of which of the brands are more readily available in the market, and also about the carbon emissions, electricity consumption, and cost. Okay, this is very important for consumer. Okay, if you ask me to buy a more energy efficient model, but that costs me more. Okay, well, where can I get the extra money? So we will try to argue from the sake of payback period. Okay, so like wise consumer like you think about cost. Okay, but a lot of these more energy efficient product actually the payback period is as short as within a year. So actually it helps the environment and also helps saving your money. So why not having these resources to help you to make a more informed choice so that you can be a smarter consumer and also be a greener consumer. So these are, you just click on the website. You also go to climateers.org. There's like link to this guide. So they will give you some, like eBay shopping experience. You give you some sort of this data for you to analyze. So we take this guide, you try to apply it to our office as a case study of how much money you can save. Our central office is in Central, of course. And there's 30 staff there. So what we have experimented with this guide. So we have we first done our inventory analysis. We got 11 air conditioners, 1 refrigerator, 37 computers, and 7 laser printer. Okay. If we through experiment, try to replace all these appliances with the top model actually recommended in the appliances guide. Okay, how much can you save? That's the annual electricity reduction. Okay, and then you asking about how much money? That's around 29,000. Okay, amount of money that we can save from here by changing all the appliances. Okay, and actually save that much of carbon emissions. But of course, we're not advocating you to change all the appliances in your office or your home. I mean, this has created a lot of problem to waste and electronic waste. So, but if next time you've got after a lot of repairments that you cannot use your existing appliance more and you have to change new one, so better you can try to seek for to consult this guy and then to give you some ideas. So this is climateers.org website. So there are lots of and such as looking for some green movie suggestions or some more soft approach of talking about green stuff and trends. This is the website that I would be able to share. It's a platform we created actually to empower individuals actually through some soft angles like articles, videos, and games and all that to actually engage them to adopt low carbon living. And we also got Facebook. If interested, we got a Clunches WWF, but also a WWF Facebook that you can like, and you will receive some sort of updates about activities that I would invite all of you to join in our public engagement activities.